let's talk about weaving on a cardboard loom. The first thing we want to look at is we want to look at the design principle rhythm today. And what is rhythm? Well, rhythm is when you have a pattern, very similar to these Sharpies, where it is exactly the same and it repeats again and again and again and again and again and again. And we could have Sharpie markers all the way across the room, and that would be rhythm. We also have rhythms that are the same or almost the same. That would also be a rhythm because it goes again and again and again and again and again. So rhythm will be our design principle that we'll need to know with our weaving today. So let's kind of get started with some of the things we need to take care of. The first thing we'll have is we're going to have a loom, and we'll talk about the loom in just a few minutes, but you'll have a piece of cardboard with some strings on it. Kind of reminds me of, you know, something like a musical instrument or so. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to slide the strings back just a little bit, and I'm going to use a Sharpie marker that's at my table, and I'm going to write my name on the back with the Sharpie marker right on the edge. Just like so. Anyway, so then we'll put our loom down. You go ahead and you can do that right now. The next thing we want to talk about is we want to talk about getting our yarn, because we'll need yarn for our weaving. There will be yarn coming in 3 different ways. You might find a ball of yarn, and you just have to be careful because the ball of yarn likes to roll around on the table. So when you get the yarn, we're going to actually measure it. And I'm going to hold the string with one hand, and I'll take the other hand, and I'm going to take it all the way up to the elbow. And then I will cut it with my scissors. And my scissors will go back into the scissor container. And then that might be my string that I might start with. But I want to show you a couple of other things, just in case you get something odd on the yarn table like this. It's a spool. Let's make sure that we unwrap it here. Sometimes you might have a loose end. Be careful not to get that. And we would cut that the same way. And you might have something called a skein, and they kind of look like a hot dog. And in the middle here, you can pull your string out, and I already got mine kind of started. And I'm going to cut it the same way. And I think I'm going to start with my yellow string so you can see what we're doing there. So you're going to cut one piece of string. And then let's talk about weaving. Weaving is sometimes your clothes, and they're woven. Sometimes a rug, very similar to this, where we have yarns or threads that go in this direction. And then we have yarns and threads that go in this direction. Now, when the threads overlap, because you've got them going in a couple of different directions there, this one is kind of easy to see. But when you have your threads that are going down like so and going across like so, they are making kind of like a square like that, and it locks their threads in, and that's called a weaving. And weaving will be a word that we'll need to remember, and weaving will be really easy to remember because it starts with that great letter W, weaving. Well, let's get started weaving. So we're going to do a rhythm of a pattern. So we're going to start with going under one of the strings and then over the next one, and then under and then over. We call it the over-under technique. So here we go. We're going to go under this log, so I pulled it straight up, and I'm going to go over the next one. I'm just going to have the thread jump over it, and then I'm going to pull up the next one. That will be under, and then I'm going to jump over the next thread, and then I'm going to go under this one, and then over the next one, under, over, 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 under. Now, I want to kind of pull my string like that so it's kind of even. And then I want to squish it all up with my fingers and push it all the way to the top. And I'm just going to straighten my yarn out a little bit like so. And then you have your over, under technique. Now this is a good time to go ahead and get a piece of yarn and do one row, and then please check it with your buddy, and you'll need to get them to sign off on your check sheet.